So, natural news. Basically, I don't know what's the best way to describe this, but basically they decided to go after the polio vaccine. Probably one of the best, most successful cases of vaccinations actually working next to the smallpox vaccine. One that has saved probably hundreds of billions of children from never having to suffer from this disease again. Indeed, only in the most remotest parts of the world do you see polio even existing anymore. And yet, randomly, because it's a vaccine and, well, it worked, and of course Natural News has the stance that vaccines never work, they published this wonderful lying article of the CDC wishes you weren't aware of these 4 polio facts. So, what are these 4 polio facts? Well, the first one, polio was already on decline long before the first polio vaccine was introduced. Afraid polio wasn't on the decline before the vaccine was ever introduced. I'm sorry. And what do they put it down to? Well, Natural News does the usual claim that we've seen many, many times before, that it was all to do with public health. Yes, it was all to do with sanitation. That's what solved it. No, sanitation solved a bit of the problem, but the problem is you don't get rid of viruses and diseases just by having better sewers. And I'd hate to break it to you, but this idea that, sewers were this amazing, and solved like the public health crisis, they did, but at the same time, they didn't solve any of these mass problems. Polio didn't disappear. Cholera, which was caused because of, multiple, of water contamination, then yes, public sewers and public works in that type of way had a big impact on it. But a lot of other diseases, polio, smallpox, didn't affect it. And of course, they don't produce any link to any sort of study. So what's the next one? Well, the next one is that the first polio vaccine gave 4,000 orphans polio, killing at least 10 of them. Now, that is true. But, of course, this being Natural News doesn't get down to the source of what the problem actually was. And the problem was, basically, it was human error. At the time of the polio vaccines being created, there were 4 labs creating this polio vaccine. Now, 3 of the labs, when they gave out their polio vaccine, it was fine. However, you had this incident, which became known as the, I've forgotten it was now, it's the, the Curis Labs incident. And basically, what happened with them was that they were inexperienced in creating the polio vaccine. So because they were inexperienced, basically human error happened, and it allowed this to happen. Now, what eventually happened was that America and other countries brought in laws and regulations so that you had to have, you had to check that the vaccine was safe, not the actual vaccine itself, but that you were creating it rightly, and that there weren't any problems with it. After that, no problems. We got rid of polio. Number 3. This is a fun one. The AMA ordered doctors to cover up the truth about polio vaccines causing polio, or else lose their medical licenses. Of course, no link to any evidence of the AMA saying this, or someone coming out and saying that the AMA said this. Instead, Natural News claim that they were told that you must now rename polio to different diseases, such as acute flared paralysis, cerebral palsy, Guerin-Bear syndrome, or Lou Gehrig's disease, which are not polio. They are not polio at all. They are different diseases. But of course, this is natural news, and their entire, modus operandi is to try and trash modern medicine any way in which they can to get you to buy their crap. And then the final one, DDT pesticide, scientifically linked to cause polio. I can't find any evidence of this. They do not provide any links in this article to back up that evidence. So to me, that's a basically outright falsehood and a lie. Because I looked it up, I couldn't find any evidence that DDT caused polio. So once again, natural news basically lying and making up stuff and literally being fake news. But of course, natural news goes on to write articles about other websites being fake news, but hey, what you gonna do?